Hello, my name is Jason and welcome back to I Have a Story. Today's Thursday and Thursdays are going to be Use Your Thinker Thursday. I'm going to try on Thursdays to, one, share a lot of knowledge in a lot of different areas of what I'm already sharing on my channel. But a really big objective I have is to start opening up people's minds. Start helping people to think outside the box. The mind is a beautiful thing, and we are so much more capable of more than what we show today. Especially as a population, we've actually, I feel, shown the opposite in an awful lot of ways. So, I'm here to share a lot of information, and this is one that I thought of a while ago, and it's really hard for me to come out and say, although I've gotten a little more confident. I've talked to people about this in the past, and I've gotten a little bit more confidence, with what I'm seeing now from professionals, stories being told and coming out and talking publicly about things, but I still see it a little differently than they do. I talked about the video about Graham, and I couldn't remember the other guy's name, and I just remembered it when I was walking out here, and now I already forgot it again. That's how my brain works. I'm horrible with names. But watching the video, and I'll try to put in some sort of caption in here. Like I said, my last video I made, I talked about being able to put in what they call cards, is what they call it, but links on my channel in my videos, and I just did it on my last video, and in my preview upload it showed it was there, but then after the video upload, apparently it's not there again. I mean, I sat out here and just had problems with my electronics again, trying to make this video constantly, non-stop, over. It's a waste of life. To not make progress in life is just, it's a waste. Part of where I want to open up people's minds again. We're not supposed to just take this and keep throwing our money at them. And they just keep telling you need to buy more, and people do. We just keep buying more of it and buying more of it and getting more and more frustrated with it. That's actually not what I'm here to talk about with my Thinker Thursday. Because our premiere is supposed to be a big one, right? Well, here's a big one that, in my head, really needs to be looked at, and we need to start changing the view of some of the ways we've seen things in the past. And I'm here to talk about an awful lot of it. But in this video, I want to talk about one thing in particular. We take from history and try to use the views we have today to depict history. That's one of the problems with this, is that the views we have today is not what the view they had 100 years ago. It's not the view they had 200 years ago. It's not the view they had 1,000 years ago. So how can you try to relate to something that happened so far long ago using the mindset of today? It doesn't work. You can't do it. Doesn't work like that. So one of the things I want to talk about, what happened to people thousands and hundreds and over the course of time. We look at objects like the Great Pyramids, the Sphinx, Easter Island, and we scratch our heads going, how did they do that? Well, we're looking at history as they're a bunch of cavemen with sticks and stones. How did they do that? What about the possibility that people back then were very technologically advanced? And maybe not in the same ways we are today. They found different technologies than what we know today. What if the cataclysmic events that took place weren't even necessarily maybe nature? Now, I agree with, God, it's driving me nuts with these names, my problem with names. The problem, when I first, so I guess I ought to share this a little bit. The first video I watched with Graham and his colleague that, he works an awful lot, and they've done several videos together. When I first saw their two videos, when I saw the first video I watched, they talked about nature and about how they believed that things were happened differently than what's been depicted. And this is something people need to understand. What we claim and have claimed so much in the human knowledge as being fact actually is a theory, like global warming. Global warming is still a theory. There's no fact basis behind it. There's nothing to prove what these people are saying. There's nothing to prove global warming. To just say it's getting warmer, well, do people actually look that it gets warmer in certain places, but it's getting cooler in others? That's not how global warming works. I've made a video about that. So when I watched their video, and I thought they were just about weather and the difference in the weather patterns over the course of time and learning more about the knowledge in that, I didn't watch any of their other videos that popped up. I just thought I saw what they had to say, and that's what they have to say. Well, recently I'd made a video, and I actually was one I made when I was down taking care of the horses, and I was talking again. I can remember Graham because he's a cracker and I'm a cracker too, right? That's part of, I think, why I can remember his name so well. But when I made that video, I went back online and started actually listening to more of their podcasts and found out, whoa, these guys actually have a lot more knowledge to share, and they're a lot more, they're into a lot more than just the weather. They're into the whole entire cultures, people, so much amazing aspects and information beyond just weather. And I didn't realize they were into all that. And then listening to their stories, that's what gave me the confidence to come out here and talk today about this, because they still are looking at weather patterns still causing so many phenomena, which I can see and understand. I can totally understand that glaciers made the Great Lakes. But what about the possibility that maybe back in the days of the pyramids and the Sphinx, then all these major, I mean, so many marvels that you look at today and go, how did they make something so beautiful out of such heavy objects? Make them to perfection. When they talk about the pyramids are built so perfectly you cannot even slide a piece of paper between one spot anywhere on the entire pyramid. You cannot even slide a piece of paper between two bricks. Call them bricks, the great big huge stones. How did they do that? Does it make, I mean, if what I'm saying sounds crazy, does it sound any crazier than now the theory of aliens made it? So maybe what about the possibility that back then there was some sort of civil war? They had technology we're not aware of. I'll use nuclear as an example. Could have been anything, but what if, say, they had some sort of technology that was as devastational as, say, nuclear, and the world went off? What if the pyramids and things like, say, Easter Isle, the Circle of Stones, maybe they were holding something at one time. Maybe there was a structure much larger there than that at one time that got destroyed, and this is the remnants and the leftover. What about granite deposits in the ground? What if about the possibility there was some sort of technology where people self-destructed the earth at that time, and that's the meltdown chemical reaction and the composites of 10,000 years later? Or however long these course of time through different, structures were made, built, and then even to sit here and say we know exactly when it happened, different things progress differently throughout the course of time. So we look at, okay, we know the last 100 years, 200-300 years, X amount of time that things degraded at certain rates under certain conditions. Well, conditions were different then, so did they degrade at a different throughout thousands of years? How do we know any of this? I mean, to me, it leaves an open mind to a lot. And I'm not saying that they haven't learned stuff and we're not smart or any of that stuff. I understand some people are doing the best they can with the mind that they have. That's why it takes more than, that's one of the problems with historians and with scientists, is there's not that many of them. So there's not that many accumulative minds from different thinking perspectives viewing these things. Part of where I'm here to do it with so many topics. For some reason I see a lot that people just don't seem to see. And this is one of them. So what about the possibility that they actually were technologically advanced? Sure, we found what we have found and don't know exactly. I mean, if we found spears, maybe that was the revolution of people coming back. And spears and stone artifacts that we have found weren't necessarily from when those pyramids and stuff were really truly built. What if the pyramids were actually a much larger structure than that? But this is the remnants left over. How about the possibility that they claim they found skeletons and human remains that were people 10 feet tall? What if maybe way back then we were, but whatever cataclysmic event we created then, not to say we, but the people, human race, committed then that devastated the population and people, now say like radiation. What does radiation do to us? It changes us chemically, physically, molecularly in our body, cellularly throughout our system. Maybe that stuff actually shrunk us and made us smaller. Maybe people from different distances from the cataclysmic events that may or not have taken. I mean, this is a theory. I'm not saying I'm right. These are theories. But tell me it makes less sense than aliens did it. We really got to open our mind. Think a little more outside the box and think of more possibilities than just a straight line. I think I've already proven in my channels, and hopefully continue to prove, that it's one of the problems with our school systems, and it's actually not something that's my theory. We've known it. They've said it for so long. One of the problems with our school system is we don't have the resources and finances to actually make it an individualized personal experience for individual students so we can make them think and strive. Instead, we suppress those kids and make them walk a straight line down one that was set for them. We wonder why so many people are struggling. So many people fail in life because their minds weren't set to be that way. I'm standing before you as one of them. I got tired of school being taught the same thing over and over and over again, and I want to learn something new. Didn't I learn this last year? I'm wasting my time. I could be out making money doing something progressive than learning the same thing I just learned last year. Okay, I get it. These kids ain't got it, but I do. And again, I failed at school because I got bored. Didn't apply myself because I didn't want to be there. Again, stories for down the road. So I ask, I mean, is it possible that back then things were not like we see it as today? I'm going to be proving to you a whole lot more that Indian culture was not what we perceive it as today. Those videos are coming up too. Again, a lot of knowledge to share. I've learned so much, and even just so much in the past 4 years that's been just made me use my thinker. So, I'm here to present my theory of possibilities that could be. This is one of them. Is it possible back then we were actually a lot more advanced and smarter than what we claim we are today? Today that we claim we were then. Were they really just sticks and stones and spears? And I mean, if they were, how did they build those structures? I don't believe the little green men came down here in airplane and their spacecrafts and build it all. I really don't know exactly what to believe, and really nobody does. But we shouldn't be taught that this is the way it was, that we should be taught these are the possibilities. It leaves an open mind to a lot more, and that's how we gain knowledge and gain progression in life, is to be able to use our minds and think about things from all aspects and different views. Oh, my left arm's going again. Oh, that hurt. Just trying to lift it. I did go to the hospital and actually had x-rays done. It's been over a week now, still haven't heard anything about it. Actually, it's been a week and a half today. Still haven't heard a word about the x-rays from a week and a half ago. Well, my left arm has really been giving me some really problems. But, sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack there. Sometimes I get a spike of pain that I just can't avoid. We need to look at things in just an open view and an open mind. I understand people fear the unknown, but at the same time, if we're not real about things and realistic about things, we don't make progression that way. Part of where we've got to quit letting the weak rule. The strong are the ones who rule, and we take care of the weak. We don't let the weak take charge. We talk about the wolves and how we need to protect the wolves because they're such a pristine, nostalgic animal. Oh my God, they're so wonderful. But yet I watch them right here, day in and day out. My whole community sees it. These wolves slaughter anything that moves, and they don't eat it. They kill it just because it moved. I've sat right here in my yard. They jumped this fence. I mean, I got to say, it was actually quite a sight. It was beautiful. But I sat here and watched Wolves jump this fence and slaughter my rabbits just one after another. Not eat a single one, not take a single one. They just sat in here and killed them one by one. I found, leave the door open. I don't feel right keeping my animals in cages and not allowing them freedom. Obviously, I believe in freedom. So once I opened up my cage, the wolves couldn't get them no more. They were no longer trapped and free, just pouncing. I sat here and watched them kill my goats and just kill them to kill them. But yet we praise the wolf and we have to save the wolf, but yet we're going to sit here and have the reverse mentality in American culture. But yet, again, use your thinker, people, because this is really fracking confusing me. Absolute reverse ideology in this country is destroying it. You will hear me say it over and over again. The ideology of saving a pristine animal that is actually the largest devastational animal by far to our habitat. Everybody knows it. But yet it's still allowed, still continuing to happen, and they want to do more of it. Use your thinker. You can't tell me they're doing it because they're stupid, or are they doing it because there's a reason? They have a purpose beyond what the people want, because nobody here wants it. Watch it throughout any channel of anybody who lives in nature and is surrounded by wolves. Nobody wants it. All they talk about is the devastation from it and the fear. Isn't that kind of what terrorism is? Isn't terrorists ones who turn something loose that make people afraid? Again, open your mind and use your thinker, people. I'm hoping to save people from being spoon-fed the BS. That'll be a good thumbnail. Spoon, BS. Okay, well, so here's my kickoff to my Use Your Thinker Thursday, and hopefully people will start just opening up their mind. Again, I am not saying that I am right, but I'm also saying don't believe that they're right either. I'm saying use your own mind, educate yourself, and make your own decisions. Again, the scientific industry, one of the big problems I see is it's so small. We don't have enough people with different minded views perceiving what is taking place in history and trying to make sense of it all. You have to have many points of view to come out with a proper answer. Or even in this case, I mean, that's something that we can't answer. Just like heaven and religion. We'll find out when we get there. But yeah, we spend so much time trying to prove it's real. How about we spend time proving that we can take care of one another? How about we put that effort into being good people? Trying to find ways to be better as a community. Better for our children, our families, everything. Our country spends so much time and money on irrelevance, while the serious things keep continuing to dwindle and fall. Please, people, help me stop this. Please open up your mind and start using your thinker. Please just try to help make this world a better place. Help our knowledge grow. Help our understanding grow. That's how we become better. That's how we improve. We don't improve by looking at things in one point of view and saying that's all there was to it. Go back to when Newton discovered laws of physics and started dropping different sized objects, and then went in front of the king and the priest in the church, and when he even showed it to them right to their face, they put him in jail. People want to talk about slavery and abuse is taking place now, and it is only taking course to one group of people. It's taking course to everybody over the entire course of time. How can you stand in front of a king in a church and say, look, I found something amazing, and even though you proved them to be right, that you were right, you get thrown in jail for it? That was freedom? That's not slavery? I don't know what you call that. It's a lot of things, isn't it? Part of where I struggle with history, and part of where I struggle because there's just been nothing but bias, suppression through so much of it, and things perceived. Again, even if you look at this fact alone, over the course of time, how many historians were there? You only ever hear about one here through this century, one there through that decade, one over here that documented this stuff. And again, it's being documented by one mind, one point of view. And especially at a past time when, again, I'm not going to say that they only had shoestrings and pop cans to talk through, or birds that had messages tied to their legs, or even dogs that had messages strapped around their body. We don't know. So if they only did, if their lack of communication is as we thought it was, the point of view that it was written by is coming from a hand that only was attached to the eyeballs that saw it in a very specific situation and scenario. They didn't have the transportation means as we understand. So to get from point A to point B and travel and view the whole entire, they didn't have it. So that person sat in a very small portion of a situation, scenario, nationwide, countrywide, citywide, statewide, throughout the course of time, and only had the abilities they had to perceive and see and document what they did. This is all a part of the problem with history. While it's wonderful and we need something, and that's what we have, we got to kind of change the way we perceive and look at some of it. We've got to look at things from different lenses, different angles, different thoughts and mind processes. Just like slavery. People don't realize slavery wasn't just, and it wasn't even, the white man didn't go over and put black people in cages. The whole entire world went and bought the slaves from black men. I've been watching this woman's channel and she's absolutely amazing. And again, I'll see if I can get my clips in here, or get my add in my links. But history has been taught to us completely wrong. All of it. I've learned so much, even being here submersed in it myself, now seeing firsthand, learning straight from the head Indian elders. We were lied to. It was wrong. What we've been told was not the truth. And it surely was not the full image of it. So, I'm hoping to open up a lot of minds and get you thinking differently. Our minds are capable of so much more than what we've been suppressed down to think we're capable of. And a lot of people have been down that rabbit hole of entertainment. We have so much to fill our brains with and not want to even look at the real world anymore. But do you not see that's also what drugs do to people? The same effects, and in the end, the same outcomes. It comes in so many different forms. I guess I've made this video long enough, and I want to know, what do you think? Is it possible people back then were actually much more technologically advanced than we believed they were? Is it possible people back then didn't just wear loincloths and have spears? Maybe they did, but is it possible that they had loincloths and spears and still technology that we still haven't figured out, and they didn't figure out our technology, and we went down two different paths with different mind thoughts to find and see different things in the world around us and how we are able to make things out of that? I think it makes more sense than aliens did it. What do you think?